Onhurst the next morning. One of the other men said he'd been picked up for a job. He wasn't there the next morning either, or the morning after. On the 5th morning, I got there early, and I saw him again, on the corner, his right wrist wrapped in a clumsy sort of bandage. Listen, lady, I got a job. Sure enough, a panel truck pulled up, and he joined a line of men who waited to be counted off and herded on. I watched Diego file to the front of the line. I watched the foreman point to his bandaged hand, and then signal for him to step aside. I watched Diego argue with the foreman, and the foreman shove him aside this time. I watched Diego push past him to climb into the truck, and the foreman yank him down by the waist of his jeans, sending Diego crashing to the pavement. The other workers laughed, clapped their hands, and called out to him. He gave them all the finger, one by one. Diego opened my car door with his left hand and held his right hand gingerly aloft. Are you all right? I asked. He squinted at the stop sign ahead. He got in. What should we do today? What do you need? There was nothing he could do, of course, not with that wrist. So I took him to the Crate and Barrel outlet to pick out those storage baskets I planned to get the morning I ran him over. Actually, I picked out the storage baskets, and he stared at me. He stared at me the whole time we were in the store, his arms crossed, following me through the aisles. He stared at me at checkout, and he stared at me as the lady bagged my baskets, and as she stared at him. When we left, he took the bags from me, held them both in his good hand, his gray eyes locked on mine. And then it hit me what exactly I wanted to do. Diego, I wanted to do something grand for you. I wanted to give you a day of only good things, of new and lovely and comfortable things. So I took you to Old Navy. I picked out 3 plaid shirts, which seemed to be what Mexican construction workers like to wear, and just so happened to be the in look for fall. I bought you a pair of jeans. I felt wonderful, like Richard Gere and Pretty Woman. You wouldn't try the clothes on, though. You didn't seem to want them. Not for me, you said again and again, waving a single finger in my face. Not for me. You left the store, stood outside. There was an empty bench just outside the door, but you didn't sit. I bought the clothes anyway, and I carried the bag which you wouldn't touch. You were mad, I think. I guess if you hadn't been stranded in Emeryville, you would have been mad enough to walk away for good. So I took you to lunch, and you must have been hungry enough to let me. We went to a diner, and you ate a burger. You ate it by turning the bun in a circle as you went, rather than chomping right through the center. I had pancakes. I don't know why I'm telling you this, because clearly you were there. I guess I want you to know my version. When the check came, you leaned forward to grab it, but then you stopped, your fingers at the edge of the small plastic tray, and I took it instead. This is for your work today, I said. Okay, this is how I pay you. Whatever made you pause before you grabbed the bill, I could tell it bugged you, because you didn't say a word the entire way home. I took you home, to my home. I unwrapped your bandage. I squeezed your wrist, which was bruised black, and you winced and cursed. It wasn't broken, though, and I'd gotten you to talk again. We sat down on my sofa, and I asked you about your mother, your sisters, the school where you learned English, your father's farm in Mexico. Lady, you said, I'm from Peru. You told me about the house where you live in Richmond with 9 other men. I ran you a bath and asked to see your thigh where I'd hit you. It's a solitary world, Diego, even for people with money, even for people who live with 9 other people. I unbuttoned your shirt for you and pulled it gently from your beaten wrist. In the claw-footed tub, you stared at me the way you had in Crate and Barrel. This time you looked me up and down like you were trying to piece me together. I knelt beside the tub and exfoliated you, sloughed away the dead skin. You didn't like it one bit. You weren't used to the scrubbing granules. But when you stood up, the bath suds slithering down your waist, there was one part of you glistening that was very much alive. If this was just an extension of my charity, it didn't feel that way. You waited patiently on the bed for me to undress, to fold my clothes and place them on the chair, which is something I do when I'm alone. I only did it with you because I was suddenly, paralytically nervous. And then we did, of course, what we did. And it was when we did what we did that I learned what hunger really was and how deeply it can permeate. We left the sheets damp with bathwater. Afterwards, I had trouble looking at you because I thought that maybe I'd somehow taken advantage of you. I spent a good few minutes twisting the threads of my pillow. When I looked over, you were asleep. You slept all afternoon and straight through the night like I drugged you. And now, it is now. We wake up together on a Saturday morning. You ask me if you can put your hand on my bottom, which strikes me as an odd question, considering we've already slept together. But what strikes me more is what a good word bottom is and how underused. What I want to tell you about is the word bottom, how it curves under with a B-O-T, splits in the center and curves back up with a T-O-M, curving and cleaving just like a bottom. But I can't tell you this, not because you won't understand, but because my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth with the thick saliva of sleep. I will check to see what our bodies look like together, naked in the luminescent tent of my bedsheet. If they look all right, like they belong together, then I will let you wrap your hand around my bottom. If not, I will roll out of bed, wrap the sheet around me, and we will go to brunch. And I may consider buying some tulips, and you may wonder why I ate only eggs and none of my toast. And I will look at the prices of pedicures in a salon we pass, and I will scowl at the woman inside, and you may wonder why. And you may wonder, if you're in the mood, if we will ever see each other again, or if you will return to the street and I to my house, and whether perhaps this sun-struck Berkeley morning will be the end of things, the going home bell, and the meandering and warm workday that was ours.